Have you ever been in one of those frustrating situations where you thought to yourself, if only I was put in charge, I'd get things done, only to be later put in charge and discover that, well, things weren't as easy as you thought. The primary reason being is that you're having to deal with real people with real problems. Well, if this has ever been your experience, then maybe you now know how God must feel. When it comes to this age-old question of why does God allow evil and suffering, many seem to assume that it should be a no-brainer for God. He should be able to just snap his fingers and poof, the world is a wonderful place. And because they don't see anything happening, they assume either that God is uncaring or that he just doesn't exist. But is there a third option? Well, stay with me for just a few minutes and allow me to explain it. So let me begin by asking you a question. If you were God, how would you solve the whole issue of evil? Again, for many people, the solution would be quite simple. Just take out all the evil people, such as the Hitlers, and the problems of the world would be solved. But if it were really that simple, and assuming, of course, that God does exist, then don't you think he would have tried that already? Perhaps things are much more complicated than we realize. For what if instead of there just being a few evil people causing all the problems in the world, that evil actually lurks in all of us? That evil is like a seed in the desert that can lie dormant for years until the right conditions are met. The Nazi Adolf Eichmann played a leading role in the murder of over 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. And at his trial, when one particular survivor was called in to testify against him, after saying only a few words, the man began to sob uncontrollably and then collapsed upon the courtroom floor. Why? Was he overcome by fear, hatred, traumatic memories? No. In a 1983 interview given on 60 Minutes, he said that all at once he realized that Eichmann wasn't the godlike army officer that he had pictured. Rather, Eichmann was just an ordinary man like himself. He explained to the host of the program, Mike Wallace, "I was afraid about myself. I saw that I was capable of doing this. I am exactly like he." Exactly like Eichmann, come on. That goes completely against our contemporary thinking. We're no Eichmanns. Why, evil people like Eichmann, they're supposed to have 2 horns, a pointed tail, with that crazed, murderous look in their eyes. Yet Eichmann, who played a leading role in the murder of millions of people, went completely against our conventional stereotypes of what an evil person should look like. Do you know what Eichmann's occupation was several years prior to the Holocaust? He was a traveling oil salesman. Suppose he had stuck with that occupation, he had never joined the Nazi Party and therefore could never have played a role in the Holocaust. Would we still consider him evil? Now let me be clear, I am not at all excusing the evil actions of someone like Eichmann, nor am I saying that given the same opportunity, every person would have behaved to the exact same degree. But the facts of history are crystal clear. If given the opportunity, every single one of us is capable of committing horrific acts of evil. Consider this thought experiment. Suppose that you discovered that you had the ability to become invisible. You now had the ability to do anything you wanted, knowing that you'd never be caught. You could steal whatever you wanted, take revenge on whoever you wanted, exploit anyone that you wanted. It's a disturbing and sobering thought, isn't it? Yet that is exactly why we see what we see on the nightly news. People who either think that they're above the law, or people who live in places of the world where there is no law. Now again, let me emphasize that I'm not at all saying that given the opportunity we'd all become crazed psychopaths. But it does make you stop and think, doesn't it? That there is something deeply flawed about our human nature. That it would seem that there is an Eichmann lurking in all of us. So why does God allow evil? Well, I believe he does because it's complicated. It's not the simple solution that everybody seems to think, that he should just snap his fingers and make everything okay. But perhaps there is an easy solution. If evil is an intricate part of who you and I actually are, then perhaps if he were to get rid of the entire human race, well, that would solve the problem, wouldn't it? Now, I don't know about you, but I, for one, am grateful that he has chosen not to fulfill that option. Now there's really a second part to this age-old question of why does God allow evil and suffering? What about natural disasters, earthquakes, tsunamis? Why doesn't God do anything to stop those? Well, I'll attempt to answer that part of the question around the first week of September. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so, and please also share this video. Keep searching.